and say it's all Hamas's fault. I'm not concerned with the causes. I'm just
Why don't you hear anybody calling the Arab world and the Muslim world? Where's their compassion? When 1 million Jews were expelled from the Muslim countries around 1948,
they should be compassionate, but
Israel took them in. Why are these people who are suffering, these men, women, and children in Gaza, or wherever they may be, where their brothers and cousins?
Why don't other countries take them in? What do you mean?
Why don't they take them in? If this is a place that's impossible to live because it's unbearable because Hamas controls it or whatever, why don't you take them in? And
I don't know if it's that easy to take in 2 million refugees. I don't think it's that easy to take in 2 million refugees. It would probably cause economic stress.
You think that's the problem because of economic stress?
No, I'm saying taking in 2 million refugees would not. Countries don't want to do that. I would have to imagine. Well,
there may be other agendas. Consider that.
Yeah. Let me move on to topics of the Torah. Look, and maybe a pause here for a second. I don't want to frustrate you. What I want to push people on, and I want to believe that people can criticize Israel and not be anti-Semitic. I don't want to live in a world where everyone who says anything negative about Israel is necessarily anti-Semitic. That doesn't seem good for Judaism. We have to be able to make we have to give agency to the IDF and the government and to be able to say I disagrry with that and not have it be anti-Semitic. Otherwise, they're beyond condemnation, and then it doesn't seem fair to me. So, I don't mean to upset you. I spoke with another person the other week who wouldn't even say that it's a tragedy when civilians die. I think that's just a bare minimum that people should align on. Look, I want to tell you what's underneath this for me. It's not a hatred of Israel, right? I see the way the world has reacted towards Israel. I know that part of that is anti-Semitism, but I also wonder, I can't, every time someone has something negative to say about Israel, if I always assume it's anti-Semitism.
Let me ask you, had Israel not reacted to October 7th and the world would not have condemned Israel, then you would have been happy?
No, I'm not happy. Nothing. What makes me happy is Israel being safe, and I don't know. I'm not a strategist, but
that's what the world. But that's what the world began to condemn Israel's reaction from day one, if you recall. It just took time till it became more popular, so to speak. Anyway, I'm of a big believer, like Menachem Begin said. Mm-hmm. When you believe in something, I don't really care whether it's popular or not.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If the Jewish people would consider public opinion, we wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
Because public opinion felt that the Jews should disappear a long time ago. So I don't know how much I give value to what the world thinks or doesn't think. The UN, by majority, just look at their condemnation, are disproportionate about Israel. Let me ask you something. Why is there no equal amount of talk about the Sudanese that have massacred? The Syrian. How come there's no talk about that? Yeah. How come there are no protests in this country?
What about Sudan? What about these other countries? Maybe it is the case that the media is more fixated on Israel than they should be, or they're not fixated on other countries. But if I say to you, hey,
I'll throw out one more thing. Do you know how much money has been spent by Qatar and by other Arab countries and Muslim countries on PR to push this agenda in the media and in Hollywood and the campuses in the United States? You don't know, do you?
Yeah.
I come from the world of media.
I know. But smart Jewish Israeli people disagree on the right approach. Some people say, hey, they should have been more aggressive in Gaza. And some people say Israel should have focused more on a prisoner exchange up front and less on bombing Hamas. I don't know the answer.
We all know the issue doesn't begin with Gaza. The issue begins with the hatred that precedes Gaza. Gaza is just a symptom of a problem, not the cause.
People in Gaza feel restricted by the blockade, and they're really angry at Israel for the blockade, even though Israel is doing the blockade to stop Hamas. For an ordinary person, civilian living in Gaza, your life is kind of miserable, and you have a hard time getting resources, and it's Hamas's fault. But the country that is preventing the resources getting in, it is Israel. I think we should accept Israel has to do things for its security, and those security measures sometimes cause a hardship on other people. I'm just saying it has an effect.
Well, I
Maybe.
like to I like to think of solutions, not the problems. What are
Yeah.
the solutions? And
Well, a solution would be
I believe I do have some thoughts on the solutions. That's where I was addressing.
what would the solution be?
You have to get rid of the hatred of calling for the destruction of Israel. Without that, I wouldn't even go to the table with someone that calls for my destruction. I don't care what their excuse is.
Hmm.
If they want my attention, they need to give me at least the respect that they don't want to kill me and my family. That's the first thing of all. And that goes back many years, long before Gaza, long before October 7th. You have to begin with a place where someone recognizes that you have the right to exist and doesn't call for your annihilation. I mean, Hamas says clearly, we are not satisfied with peace. We want control of all of Israel. We just can't have it because because Israel has more military might. That's their only problem. So you need to have someone who accepts that you have a right to exist. They don't feel that Israel has a right to exist. That's why they went to war in 1948. Why didn't they accept the partition and just establish an Arab state side by side with Israel? There's a reason, because they didn't accept it. They just wouldn't accept that Israel has a right
Yeah,
to exist. To me,
that's right.
that's a critical thing. You have to begin with that point. How can you negotiate when two companies want to merge? They have to recognize each of them has some value.
Yeah. I think they didn't want to merge initially. I think Palestine said, "Why should we give up our land?" You know.
Yeah, I understand. But you know
Hey,
what? There
we're
are
here. Yeah.
consequences for these decisions.
There's what?
There are consequences when you make such a decision.